Hello, everybody, and welcome to this week's Stitch Brothers. This week we have the original cast and crew here.
OG crew.
Yeah, the original crew. What's going on with the screen here? I don't like it.
It's supposed to be on the solo layout.
Hold on. Please hold, everybody. Technical difficulties.
It's like it's Monday.
Yeah, it's not Monday.
But I mean, it's Monday.
So Barb is not going to be with us this week. She is off on retreat. There we go. That's a little better. No, I like the other one better. So Barb, I'm sure, is watching. Hi, Barb. Hey, Barb. Thanks for abandoning us. We'll try to do our best to hold the fort down. I forget where she said. She was in Mount something. Mount Morris? Some retreat. Stitching away. Oh, there we go.
Wow.
Now we're back. I like this. You know, you don't realize how you get used to it, and that actually bothered me. I was like, no, I can't look at this.
So this platform that we use, they updated and they have all new features. And it must have been the default.
Nice. We got some new features we're working through here. It sounds like. So welcome everybody. We have some cool things to talk about right away off the bat. Just like always, we encourage everybody to comment, ask us any questions. If it's a dumb question, we won't make fun of you. No, just kidding. Ask the questions.
We'll all laugh together.
That's right. But we want this to be as interactive as possible. It's nice when we don't feel like we are just talking to ourselves. So this week we are going to do more quilts. So I think that's kind of what we had started doing. Oh, there's Barb. Barb, where are you? Barb, are you in Mount Morris?
Are you there, Barb?
I have a picture from her.
Come in, Barb.
Barb, where are you? I'm sure she'll comment here. But you have a picture from her, huh?
Yeah, she
You
sent
wanna-
me a picture of her retreat.
Let's see it.
Oh,
Let's see
yeah.
it. Where's Barb at?
What?
Oh.
Look at the ceiling.
Look at that.
All those Berninas in there.
Yeah. So that looks like it's worth ditching us for.
I suppose.
So that's understandable. Very cool. Well, hopefully Barb is having fun there. So we're going to go heavy on the quilt show. And that's kind of what we first started doing when we started our quilt spotlight. So we wanted to bring that back and show off a little bit more quilts this week. So in the meantime, though, as we're doing this, like I said, feel free to comment, ask us any questions. It makes it more fun and interactive. We also have a couple really great machine opportunities. One of them just fell into our lap a minute ago. I think someone is going to be very, very excited to take advantage of this. But let's go right into announcements. So what do we got this week? So let's talk about Bernina Social. So it looks like we got some dates. The first date is November 11th. So that's coming up. And the next date we got, the last Bernina Social of the year, is going to be December 2nd. For those of you who don't know, the Bernina Social is sort of our owners club, let's say. You don't have to be. I mean, you could be, a prospective buyer that's interested in checking out the Berninas. But for all of our customers who purchase our Berninas, especially our embroidery machines, it's a great way for you to hang out all day with Barb and a bunch of other experts and other people who share the same machine you have. And we find that this is really the best way for people to get familiar with their machine and really go to that next level. So, you can go to these classes, and the classes are great. We recommend going to, the Bernina or the Embroidery 101 and Embroidery 102, and that's great. It's more of a guided class. This is great because you can bring your own projects in. And what's nice about this is if you were at home and you're stitching along and you, experience some trouble, let's say with the machine or with the project, and normally that would kind of put you out of commission. If you're at the Bernina Social, you're surrounded by people that will help you figure out what you need to do to keep going. So for those of you who are interested in really improving their skills, it's a great way to hang out with people who have similar machines. I mean, there's a ton of 7 series there. So if you have a 770 or a 790 Pro, $9.90, for example. There's a bunch of owners. It's like an owners club. Next, I was told, and this seems really, really exciting, to promote. We have a scissor sharpening, what would you call it? Event?
Sessions.
Sessions,
We have a couple
extravaganza.
of sessions
Extravaganza.
that are opening up.
So they asked us to promote this. This sounds really, really cool. So the first one is tomorrow, actually, Wednesday, October 30th. It's from 9 to 4 in the gathering. And I'm assuming it looks like $8 per pair. You can get your scissors sharpened. And this is, this is really great for people who have high-end scissors and you want to make sure that they're sharpened correctly and, you know, that people don't ruin your scissors. Because I'm a knife guy, actually. And there's nothing worse than having a nice knife and sharpening it yourself and ruining the knife. So this is a great way to get your scissors professionally sharpened.
Or knives.
Or knives.
Yep,
Huh?
you can bring your knives in. As the flyer says, their knives will be done off-site. I guess they're kind of messy.
Okay.
So when they take a little bit more time, and then also if she gets a huge turnout and she can't finish all the scissors on site, she will be taking them off site and then, you know, bring them back once they're finished. So just so you know that.
Yeah. So they'll do your knives as well. They'll usually take this, sounds like from Heidi, that they'll take those home because it's a messier proposition, I guess, to sharpen those.
Also, the pricing on knives will vary.
Okay.
So it's like on an individual consultation.
Yeah. So pricing is going to vary on the knives, but the scissors, $8 per pair. This will be a great opportunity for people to keep your scissors sharp, which obviously is very essential in this hobby. All right, the next one we have is the BO8 event. So Fast and Furious 9 patch with Bernina Barb. Sweet. All right, so this is going to be an awesome class. This is going to take advantage of the super popular BO8 machine. We're going to be doing the technique that my mom showed off in that remember the 9 patch gathering book? That's an old book. I wonder how old that is. That's one of the original books. But in that book, there was a technique she uses to make 9 patches really fast.
Strip piece.
Yep. And we're going to use that technique along with the BO8s for those BO8 owners. So go ahead, sign up with that. That's going to be November 18th from 10 to 4. All right. What else?
Space is limited.
Yeah. How many people are we filled with that?
It's usually 10 on those.
10? I think she said 10 or 12.
Yeah.
But don't wait. If you want to get in on that, sign up right away. Okay. The last event that we're going to talk about is the coat class. So let's talk about the coat class. Super popular, very, very cool. A lot of you have probably seen the pictures from that coat class. I was super impressed with what they were able to do. They were able to line these up. It was really neat. So obviously for a coat, the front of it is cut, and the way that they were able to make it where when you button it, it lines up is really cool. Yeah, it was really cool.
I want to commission somebody to take the class for me and make me one.
I thought that it was really neat.
Why don't you commission Barb? Hey, Barb.
I already tried.
Oh,
I already tried.
Ooh.
So it was really cool. Also, there was longer styles, shorter styles, a variety of different quilts that they use that really made some unique projects. So if you are interested in that, I would sign up for that. I believe there's limited space. I think it's 9 or 10 people per class. So the dates we have are Monday, May 5th and Tuesday, May 6th of next year. Then we have, holy man, we're booking these out in advance. Yeah.
Well, because they fill up.
That's they fill up.
We have a couple of classes that are coming up sooner, but they're all full. So.
Yeah. So all the other dates are full. So these are the ones that you need to sign up if you want to do this. The next one is going to be Friday, July 11th and Saturday, July 12th. And then we have Monday, August 4th and Tuesday, August 5th. So again, super cool class. You guys got to sign up for it. It was such a hit last time. Okay. Is that it?
I think we should also mention the Martelli event.
Oh, let's talk about that one. Hold on. The Martelli event.
Yep.
We know the Martelli people. Here we go. So the So Crazy Turkey Trot Martelli Road Trip 2024. Do you have a flyer for that one? No flyer for that one. Hold on. So this will be super duper cool. Well, I don't think that was it.
Club, I think that was.
But for those of you, yeah, there we go. So for those of you who are regulars at the various quilt shows, whether it's Madison, you probably know Brian. He's one of our buddies that we've done quilt shows with. It's kind of like a traveling circus. Yep.
And they're going to bring their new prototype.
I was just going to mention that.
All right.
I saw on down in Houston, they had a sewing machine table that's like their tables that you can drop your BO8 in or your whatever, and that thing will tilt sideways, just like the cutting board.
Yeah. So they sell. Yeah, they sell the pneumatic. For those of you who don't, you can see the picture there. They sell the pneumatic and tilting tables. It's really cool for putting your sewing machine on or cutting, doing various things. So that is really, really neat. And we're going to have some special pricing, t-shirts, gifts, so on and so forth. And that's going to be Tuesday, November 12th. So that's coming up. So if you were interested in those Martelli, this is what we forgot that Bernina Barb bought at Madison. And then we forgot to.
That was an adventure, it sounds
and then we forgot to pack it up, but we got it figured.
Jake's like, we weren't supposed to talk about that ever again, and now here we are.
Jake had to leave Bernina Barb's Martelli table down in Madison at the convention center.
Yeah.
After she looks at you dead in the eyes and say, "Don't forget my table."
She didn't tell us that part. That's kind of the joke.
Well, listen, for those of you who do shows, you know that when that show ends, especially after all those days, people are like, "We're packing up." We're packing up. So, all right. So that should do it for events. Let's talk about, do we have any questions? Anything that's going on in the chat? Let's see here.
Can I use a straight stitch Denomi walking foot on the BO8?
I am not sure about that. I know that we carry the Burnett BO8 walking foot, but it might be similar perhaps. But I would highly recommend using the Burnett BO8. You can't ask us that question. We gotta recommend using.
You're a little biased.
Yeah, we gotta use the.
I don't know. Try it out.
Yeah.
Let us know.
Yeah.
Did you see Barb's response? She's at Mount Morris at the Vane camp. I'm sitting on the deck in the sun.
Oh, Barb is relaxing. She deserves it. We got a lot of events that she's teaching, so it's good that she's able to get out. Mount Morris. That's what I thought she said.
Have a drink for me, Barb.
Ski hill.
Yeah.
By Nordic Mountain.
Yep.
Oh, okay. So that's not too far away either. That's nice. That's nice. Okay, so what else do we have?
We got one more question there.
One more question?
Right on the bottom from Tina. It says, Luke and Jake, do you have plans to show more long arm tips? Would love to see some.
Yes, we do. We were just talking about poor Jake and Pam. We have plans to do more instructional videos. That's what we were talking about last week. So thanks for everyone who commented and gave us some ideas. We're actually going to do one of those ideas here with our quilt show that's coming up here. Let's see here. What size needle do you use with the smoke thread? So all of the Aurifil Clear and the Aurifil Smoke, you can usually use a few different needles. But generally speaking, when we're using that thread, a lot of the times it's on the wool applique quilts. So we're using the Jeans Pro 90 is what we're generally using with that if you see our stuff. All right. Anything else?
I would have confidence in running it on any size from a 70 up to a 100. I don't think you need to run a 110 with clear. It's a big hole.
Yeah, probably not. Yeah. Probably not. The worst thing that you can do though is just experiment with it. Yeah. That's what we do. You know, you have to try it out. You have to try it out and see. Okay, so Jake, let's talk about some machine stuff.
All right.
So we have a couple opportunities, and I think some people are really going to like this first one. So pop this up here on the table, Jake. So for those of you in the know, this is the new BO8 straight stitch. We were just talking about this machine, and people had to wait about 2 months, and we're still waiting on some of the accessories, the bobbins, some other things that hopefully will arrive any day here.
I spoke to the customer service lady yesterday, and there's a big order there sitting for us. So I'm assuming it's going to be
nice.
Easier.
Good. So then we'll get the rest of the stuff we're waiting on. But everyone had to pre-order and wait, and we actually have another pre-order open. We're expecting the next 24 machines to be shipped at the end of November, and hopefully we'll have time to get those, and we're going to do our very, very best to turn around and get those to you before Christmas. However, we had one lady who had some unforeseen emergencies and decided that asked us if she could return it. And I said, no worries. We know the demand for these machines are so high. So this is an open box, but very, very, I don't know. Do you think she used it?
She didn't.
She didn't.
Not a stitch has ran through this machine.
So what we wanted to do is we wanted to offer this, and I know this is going to go like super duper fast. So the best way to probably do it is to email us right now. So after the show, I can go down there, and who's ever first in line, we're going to knock $100 off of this, and we're going to ship it for free. But this is the Bernette B08. Otherwise, we're going to be waiting until probably in December to get the next one. So this is the only one that we had that we've seen. So it's an opportunity for you if you're super duper impatient, or you wish you would have ordered. If you're one of those people that cannot.
Does she have both of the?
Yeah, she's got all the accessories too. Yep. So, and we can go over that. You don't need to get everything necessarily, but it's just an open box.
So $18.99, $100 off MSRP.
Yep.
Still a brand new machine. Jump on it while you can, while it's still here, before you don't have to wait for the other ones to come in.
Because it's going to be, another at least probably 2 months. Yep. That being said, if you do want a brand new one, and I would go ahead and at least put a deposit down and reserve your spot on one of those 24 machines, because those are selling. So I would definitely highly recommend that. What else you got, Jake?
Right.
A used 770 QE Plus.
Lightly used. 343,449 stitches on it. Basically a brand new machine.
Yep. This machine is probably our most popular high-end model for people that are just doing sewing, but you can also add the embroidery unit.
Yep. We can add a used embroidery to it as well.
What's the price on this one, Luke? You tell me, Jake.
I don't know. Let's make it up as we go.
$4,000.
$4,000
without the embroidery module.
Smoking deal.
So for those of you interested in a killer deal, give us a call and let us know. And this will be just a steal on this machine. So like I said, the most popular machines that we sell are the Quilters Edition. So that's going to be your 475, your 570 Quilters Edition, and of course this 770 QE Plus is the top of the line in that sort of, and that's like the meat and potatoes of what we sell is those three machines. So jump on that while you can, and we can get you taken care of. What else? I see some comments here.
Love B08, runs like a dream. Heck yeah.
Nice, nice. Seems like people are really enjoying their B08s. That's great. That's great. All right, so let's get to the quilt show. So let's start with what we got behind us. And this is one of our favorite customers here. This is Tori's quilt. And what we did was an invisible orange peel. Wow. And she said, just make it epic. So we wanted to do something. I thought, it's a traditional sort of pattern. And we use the invisible Aurifil thread, cotton in the back. Let's see if she can zoom in on there. That clear is definitely, invisible to the eye. Yeah, there you go. There you can see it. She used the extra wide backing fabric. That's Mom's fabric, right? Mm-hmm. Yep. So we used a cream 50 weight in the bobbin and just did an amazing orange peel on this. And I thought that fits this really, really well.
Gorgeous. Timeless.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, you can see it. That invisible, we love to use in situations where it's over wool applique, when people want to do quilting over the top of wool applique. We also like it when there's high contrast, like a red and white quilt or a white and blue quilt, like you can see. Now, a cream or a white off-white cotton wouldn't have been a bad choice here either on the top. But Some people really like the fact that that stitching just disappears.
Is the invisible thread hard to see if you have something to rip out?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it is. It's a pain in the butt to rip out.
I generally like to rip from the back if you're going to rip out.
Yeah.
Because that way I'd rather wreck a back than somebody's top.
Yeah. So
if you poke
usually
a hole in
if
it
we
or
rip
something
it out,
like that.
we'll rip it from the back, not the front. The good news is I mean, normally, well, it's kind of like a catch-22. So if the tension is bad, it's easy to rip out invisible thread.
Mm-hmm.
But if you made a mistake and the tension is good, it's really hard to rip out invisible thread. It can be a real pain in the butt, but it can be done. Okay, Jake, what's next? So these are Tori's. So Tori, along with the larger quilt, she dropped off a couple miniatures. Colleen did these, and we just did it looks like a diagonal plaid. Yep, on that one. Let's see here. What did we use on that? Let's look here.
It's like a
Yep, so that's clear as well. She used. Yep. So a clear diagonal plaid, and I know she used a taupe cotton in the bobbin.
Yeah, we'll flip it around.
And this other miniature, we love miniatures. This other one is a clamshell. We're doing our best these days to try to use newer designs that we don't always use. But miniatures are a great way, especially if you are, there you go, you can kind of see it there. There you go. If you are practicing and you are new to your Q24, it's a great way to experiment on new designs.
Mm-hmm.
And you can do like what we did there, which is we just shared a backing and just set up two different designs right next to each other. But yeah, it's a great way to test out a design, to see how it's going to stitch, to see how it's been digitized. Here we go. So more miniatures. So this is going to be great. I'll stand up for this one. So let's see here. So this is something that we love to do for people. And this lady dropped off a bunch of these amazing miniatures and wanted to do a deal. And if people are willing to let us do them on one back, we love to accommodate people. So let's start. Yeah, let's start with that one right there. Can you see what's on that one, Jake?
This one?
Yep.
This one looks like, I don't know, it's the,
which one is that one? That invisible is really invisible. So that's that newer modern meander one that we've been using. We have a bigger example of that one. But yeah, so tiny stitching in that. Really, really great stuff. To the right of that one, we have diagonal plaid, and you can see how it's done. Let's see if I can tilt it a little bit. The lighting is too good. There we go. If I tilt it forward, you can kind of see that diagonal plaid. Again, invisible thread. Very, very hard to see. Okay. All right, Jake, what's that one?
I don't know what that one is either. It's like
Colleen has bought some new stuff there.
It's really sweet. It's like a grid.
Yep.
But like not crosshatch.
So it's almost like a crosshatch with a little bit of a twist on it. And instead of being on point, yeah, there you go. You can see it. Yep. Very, very cool.
I love this next one.
Yeah, this one's probably my favorite here. So this teal, she did a tiny orange peel on it.
And those things are like
really small.
A quarter.
Yeah, so you can see how small that is.
Like 1/4-inch peels.
Yep.
Holy smokes.
Yeah, we love doing miniatures. Okay, last row here.
This one looks like it's a feather, so I think that one's like flounce with the ribbon through it.
Yep.
So a little miniature flounce there.
These are all very heavily quilted. So if you do send in the miniatures, we don't just like phone it in. We do really great stuff. There you can see it. This invisible really lives up to its name. And the last but not least, this one is gorgeous, and this is on point. So this is our crosshatch that's set on point that we just love to do.
Let's show the back.
Yeah.
Because the backs of them look sweet.
Here we go. Look, now you can see them. So look at how dense. But I mean, it's dense, but on the miniatures, it's not like overwhelming. And with the invisible, it really just shows off. You know, the orange peel is amazing.
Yeah.
So these are some of our favorite designs here.
Awesome job, Colleen.
Yeah,
Is Colleen listening?
Hopefully. Good job.
Hopefully she's working. I got to go to her house tomorrow. She's going to get a surprise.
Yeah, Colleen is getting a surprise tomorrow. All right, what do we got?
I got 2 more.
Do we have any questions before we keep going? Nope. All right. Yeah, those really turned out great. So, yeah, let's look at this one. I love this one. All right, so this is a shop sample we had just done. Butterflies. So this is a shop sample we just quilted downstairs.
They look like belt buckles.
And this is the Tilda fabric, it looks like.
Looks like we did an off-white cotton thread.
Yeah, so this one we didn't do the invisible. We just used a nice
It looks gorgeous.
cream. Yeah. There you can see it. And we're found a bunch of newer geometrics that kind of give a similar texture to modern meander without just doing modern meander anymore. I can't do it.
You can do it when you need to get something done.
But these are just as fast and they work just as good, and they have like the same sort of final result, which is a really nice, even geometric quilt density.
Modern meander works great when the boss has deadlines.
Yeah. That's funny. Okay.
Oh, look at that.
Orange peel. Look at the backing on this. Such a pretty fabric. Looks like a sort of batik.
Mm-hmm.
Nope. All right. Let's see this one here. Ah, yes. This is amazing. So this is like the same quilt that we have above our desk.
Mm-hmm.
We have the shop sample, but this is a beautiful. What is the name of this one? Do you know?
That was a Stitch one.
Yeah, it's was it like Star?
Somebody hit us up in the comments. What's
Yeah.
what's the name of this one?
It's like Starlight or something.
Tip of the tongue.
like
Tip of the tongue.
something like this.
Well, it's got to be something with stars, I'd say.
So this is just amazing.
Wow.
Orange peel. That wanted it just like the one that we have. The one that we did for our mom is way denser, but this is still pretty dense. This is I believe a 2-inch orange peel.
Awesome.
And invisible thread. Now this is where I just feel like if you don't have the ability to run invisible, you really are missing a really cool tool. It's maybe not perfect for everything, but certain things like this, such big contrast. If you look at it, you know, out like she's got it now, I mean, the only other choice would be to go with a white thread, and it would really just going all over all of these stars. I just think that the invisible is the way to go. Show the back off.
They're all saying stars all around. And then
Stars all
all
around. That's what it
around.
is. Yeah. Look at this. She really went on the
Oof.
bright sort of.
That's something.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Let's tilt it forward so she can see that they can see the quilting. There it is. Now you can see that. Amazing. Love it. Love it. Love it. I think we have.
That's it.
Is that it? I thought we had. Oh no, we have more. Hold on.
Where? Did this one, miniatures.
This right here.
Ooh, what's that?
That's my wallet, Jake. Okay.
Is anything in it?
Not as much as I'd like.
Oh, you got a baby now.
All right. So we just had a quilt dropped off, and we wanted to bring back, per the recommendation last week, we wanted to bring back the segment where we talk about the choices. Okay. So this is one that you might recognize. It's very, very popular. But let's go ahead and show this, and let's talk about what our options are. So this is an unfinished quilt top, just freshly dropped off. And let's take a look at it.
Top.
And let's go over what we think.
Ooh, me. Ooh, me.
I have, right away, I have a bunch of suggestions. So, Jake, what thread do you think you would use on this?
I'd use clear or white.
Yep. Definitely those would be the two choices.
Mm-hmm.
I would go heavily towards clear. This is kind of similar to the one that we just showed. And when you have white, the invisible thread, it really shows off the quilting. So all of these blocks, if you see here, you're really going to be able to see the texture of the quilting and sort of the shadows once it's done. And it's amazing. Now it looks like this is like a bear paw. It looks like a traditional style.
Yep.
I have two ideas right away. You want to guess what you think the first one
I
is?
know the first one's going to be Baptist Fan.
Yes, that actually is what I was thinking. So Baptist Fan is really cool because the ribbons of the fan, if you will, let's see here. So they're going to really show off in here. So you're going to get these beautiful arcs. And then also, if you take a little bit of time during the setup, you can find the middle block. And what I would do is I would use my needle to find the point, and I would make sure that at least starting off, the fans are lined up straight, and you can try to make it so they are even. And because of the fan design, it'll look almost like a custom. It just takes a little bit more time, but you can line something up and make it just look really epic. So first thought to my mind would be an invisible Baptist Fan. And actually that's what we went with. So that's what she's going to get. So you will see that hopefully
next week.
Well, I don't know if we'll be able to do it. We got some people that are ahead of her, just got dropped off. So yeah, you'll see this again though. And it'll be beautiful. All right, Jake, what's the next one that you would do?
I mean, I love orange peel, so I'm biased.
That would also look great. That's what I was thinking too.
Mm-hmm. Modern Meander.
No, I would not do.
No, if it was my quilt, I would do Baptist Fan or orange peel.
Yeah. Anybody in the chat's got any recommendations? What would you pick? Don't be shy. I mean, a diamond peel would be beautiful.
Diamond peel would be cool.
You could do a feather because it is a traditional thing, but I would do a Baptist Fan almost every time. Yeah. Let's fold this up.
So about the invisible thread, do you use that in the bobbin too?
No.
Okay.
No.
And is it hard to work with? Tina had tried it years ago in her regular sewing machine and finally gave up.
Yeah, so here's the deal with the invisible is, first off, all invisible is not created equally. So invisible is sort of a generalized term people will use for like the YLI. Superior's got an invisible. Aurifil, of course, has got a clear. And then there's probably a bunch of other really cheap brands that I would not use. So we have used the Superior with good results, and we've used the Aurifil with good results. Now, sometimes it can be tricky. I mean, it is, you want to experiment with it. Like what I would do is, and even if it took you all day, is I would get a bunch of samples made up, and I would just test it. You know, for us, we use a cotton 50 weight Aurifil in the bobbin, And that allows, so from my understanding and how it was described to me, was that the Orfil is a very slick thread because it's like a nylon, just like other slicker threads. And you don't want to use a similar, like, or the same thing, because there's no friction for it to like make a solid connection. It's like slipping, I guess, if you will. So the cotton 50 weight has a lot of friction, and that will create a nice tight stitch. But I would go ahead and I would experiment with needle size. I would experiment with different bobbin threads. If you have a Q series, I can tell you what we would do, but I can't believe most machines wouldn't be able to run the clear, and sometimes you have to loosen the top. Sometimes you have to tighten the top depending on what you're seeing. Now, generally seeing, if we, like when we start and if we need to do a little patch on the side, our bobbin tension is always consistent. We have the TOA gauge, so we run our bobbin at 220. All right. It's a little scale. If you don't have one, you should get one. If you buy a Bernina, it comes with it. But that is the sort of the constant in the equation. And then depending on what you see, okay, with the top thread, if you get a lot of skip stitches, like where it's just like skipping, then we'll usually start to loosen the top tension. The other thing that you can get is if you get a bunch of loops on the back, okay, so it's like loop, 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 you want to raise the top tension. So that's sort of the, what we generally, I guess, is that
you want that link of that stitch to be right in the center of that batting, right? So we know at 220, our bobbin is going to be right in the middle there. And then we either have to adjust our top up or down to sync it so that they look nice.
One of the things that I recommend for the people who come to our training is put on some demo fabric and actually practice manipulating the stitch. So have your bobbin, I would start with the bobbin being consistent with however. So a lot of people that don't have the TOA gauge, they do like a sort of like a
drop test,
a test where it's like a drop test, or they lift and the bobbin should stand up but not come off. There's a bunch of stuff. I don't like all that because it seems sort of subjective. The TOA gauge is great because we run it through the TOA gauge and it should give you a measurement. It'll also show you if your bobbins might be wound improperly. So if you're getting a lot of there's a little, I guess, the scale, what would you call it, arrow or whatever, that's pointing to your tension. If it's doing that means that your bobbin might be wound over the top of each other. It might be wound incorrectly. So that's one thing that it will test. The other thing is that will get you consistent. And then what I encourage people to do is jack up your top tension. What happens? I'll tell you a few things that will happen. You might get a lot more top thread breaks. So if you have cotton in the top thread and your bobbin tension is good and you're running it really high, you'll get a lot of thread breaks. So sometimes if the machine is in a mood or whatever, normally it's really great at 4, but sometimes if we start off, and especially with like the base stitch on the top, if you get like let's say you get several top thread breaks and you're just trying to baste, like we use our regular stitch to baste on the top. If you get a couple thread breaks in a row and the machine is cleaned and oiled, one of the things that we'll do is we'll go, okay, drop that top tension on the top. And sure enough, all of a sudden you won't get that thread break. Sometimes it's just like that, okay? But the other thing you can do is if you raise the top tension is you're going to see your bobbin being pulled up. So you'll have your dash, 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 the stitches, ants marching in a row. And if you really twist that knob and you get it where it will sew, it's not breaking, but what you'll see is a dash, dot, dash, dot, dash, dot. And what that is that bobbin is losing the battle. And instead of being a nice link, it's spiking up and you're seeing it on the top. One great way to learn about tension is to learn to manipulate that. Crank your tension up. Watch that bobbin come up. Slowly back it down. Watch that thread disappear back in there. That's one of the biggest things. Now, the top tension, if it's off, I feel like it's easier in some ways to tell because, for example, if you got stuff on the back, like if you got loops on the back, usually that means you probably miss the top tension and you have no top tension. So if you ever sewed, usually this comes right after changing threads, let's say. So let's say you rethreaded your machine, you start to sew, and all of a sudden you got like a nest, like a bird's nest on the back. I can tell you.
And you're thinking to yourself, how did all this thread get to the bottom and even stitch that?
And you call Jake and you say, my machine doesn't work. No. What probably happened is you forgot to raise your presser foot. Okay. And you threaded the top or the top thread without the tension disc being open. You missed the top tension. You started sewing, and essentially that needle was just pulling excess thread because there was nothing holding it back, right? So that top tension creates resistance. You had no resistance. So what happened is you probably went, I don't know, 2 inches and the thread broke, and you turned it over and you're like, holy crap. It seems like there's, 100 meters of thread right there. So 90% of the time, what you did is you missed your top tension. So you rethread it, make sure your presser foot is up, make sure that you have, tension on your top thread, and then it works perfectly. The other thing with the top tension is sometimes it looks like your bobbin is tight. Okay. But you test your bobbin and you're like, my bobbin isn't tight. Why does it look like it's tight? And you'll have the straight line bobbin, and then you'll have like dots, let's say, that is the top being pulled down. The opposite of what we were talking about before, if you're following. And what can happen there is your top tension is just too low. And your top tension is just losing the battle. It's not so bad where it's getting excess threads or thread just being yanked out and creating loops, but it's losing the battle. So you can tighten that up. And people might look at that and they go, my bobbin tension is too tight. They check their bobbin and it's not too tight. Well, maybe your top is too loose because it's a tug of war, right? If your bobbin is consistent, usually we just adjust the top. So that's sort of a long-winded, I don't know. This stuff is kind of fun. If you take our training, this is the stuff we talk about.
The best thing you can do is just load up some sample stuff on your frame and just start stitching it. Just try some free motion stuff, do some ruler work, mess up that upper top tension, go all the way up, see what it does, go all the way down, see how it looks.
Yeah, you're not going to mess anything up, provided that you know how to, like, let's say your domestic machine, you know how to take the hook out and clean it or whatever. There's nothing you're going to do that'll be too extreme. I wouldn't be afraid to try to get better. And the only way you're going to get better is if you can understand how the knobs manipulate the thread. And then when, let's say you do this, you learn a thing or two. Then when you're, let's say, doing a quilt months later, you're like, oh, this is really weird. Why do I have, oh, of course. I just changed the top thread. I know that I probably missed that top tension disc, right? Or you're looking at it and you're like, man, I need to loosen my tension. I'm seeing my bobbin pulled up. But sometimes, you just got to take the time to learn the stuff. So take a day, figure it out. Don't worry about messing it up. Don't worry about whatever, and try to learn the machine. And you'll benefit from that forever. Like, it'll make your life a lot easier if you actually figure out how the machine is working. It's not that hard, honestly. Once you get it, you're like, oh, that's pretty easy. It can just be a lot when you're first getting started. So, all right, what else do we have? I think that is pretty much it.
That's it.
Do we have any questions or anything like that?
Yeah. Diane wanted to know if you had a handout that shows all the different quilting options or quilt design options, which I don't think you really do, but
we don't. So
that could probably be a Googleable thing, right?
Yeah. So the thing with the people, they want, because it's kind of old school, because usually you could have like a book of panographs and it's like all your stuff. Mm-hmm. The issue is that now that everything is digital and these are digitized quilting designs on the Cubematic, there are so many of them. Okay. And then the design itself can be manipulated into literally an infinite variety, right? So for example, let's say you have like a modern meander. Okay. How dense you make it changes the appearance of it completely. Also, how you space it. So normally a lot of them are designed to be nested a certain way, but if you take something like a geometric and then you you shift the rows, you can get secondary designs. And there's no way we could have a book with all of the designs and all of the possibilities. What I will say is what we could do is probably have
like a top 10.
Yeah, like a top 10 that we recommend. But it really is kind of incredible how many stitch varieties there are.
No, what we should do is kind of like on that sample, on that miniature one, we should just run like a whole cloth quilt and then just do sections of our top 10.
Yeah.
So well, we have that, you know.
And then people can come in and point.
Say, I like that one.
Yeah.
Pick number 1.
Yeah. Okay, what else we got?
Would the thread weight affect the tension?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So thread weight, generally speaking, what we say to our people when we're training is the bobbin tension is always consistent. And that consistent operating range, we generally say is we want it above 200, we want it below 250, and perfect would be 220, somewhere like that. Okay. So how that changes is if you go from, let's say, a very thin thread to, let's say, like a thicker 40 weight long arm thread in the bobbin, we still want our bobbin to be set at 220, but how the actual setting on the bobbin case itself is going to change to get there. So for example, if you go from a slick, thinner thread to a thicker thread with more friction, you probably have to loosen the bobbin case to get it to 220. The opposite is true as well. If we go from an Orifil 50 weight cotton, which has got a decent amount of friction, and we go to, let's say, like an Isacord, okay, which is a poly, it's a slicker thread. In order to get that tension, we might have to tighten that case a little bit. However, what doesn't change is the value, at least for the Berninas, and that value is 220 on your TOA gauge, that gauge that we use to test our bobbin case. If you don't have one of those gauges and you struggle with bobbin tension, I would highly recommend, what we found is our bobbin cases, it will work for like a handy quilter bobbin case. Like they're all the M size. Even if you don't have a Bernina, and you probably don't need to buy the Bernina branded TOA gauge because it's undoubtedly more expensive than what you probably can get. But I would get a TOA gauge and then test that. So to answer the question, yes, it affects it, but what doesn't change is the number that we're chasing, if that makes sense. Did that make sense?
It does make sense.
Okay.
It doesn't matter what thread you use, you have to get that bobbin case tension to about 220, regardless of whatever thread you put in.
Right. You think about it, and that is different weight threads have a different amount of natural tension because of the thickness. The thicker the thread, most likely the more natural tension it's going to be on it. So the less tension the bobbin case needs to be set at. If you have something very tiny and very slick, the more you probably need to squeeze that thread to get it to a tension that we want. All right. Hopefully that was helpful. What else we have?
Do you want to just talk about, so we have a new person here. Can you talk about what machine you're talking about quilting on?
Yeah. So what these thread questions generally, though, can apply to any machine. Now, what we're talking about and what we use primarily in our department is the long arm machines for quilting. All this stuff still would apply to a lot of the other machines, but what we use is the Bernina Q series. It's, in our opinion, the best machine on the market. And I mean, obviously we're biased because that's what we sell, but we sell it because it was the best, if that makes sense. So, you know, we could have chose to sell another brand, but we decided not to. So we believe that it's the best machine on the market for a variety of reasons. It's called the Q series. That's the quilting machine. It comes in 3 sizes, a 16, a 20, and a 24. You can get it on several different sit-down tables. You can get it on pneumatic tables. You can get it on basic, more affordable, light folding tables. And you can get it on 2 different frame options, a Pro and a Studio. And the Pro frame comes in 3 different sizes.
The Qmatic program itself is the most intuitive on the market, I feel like. I mean, the ease of use, the way to get your patterns imported on, to be able to create your quilting design in a matter of minutes. You know, like, it's very intuitive. Like, you think what you need to do is what you need to do on it. You know, and I'm not like a computer person, you know.
Yeah,
So
we have a listen, if you're shopping for another brand, you should give us a call because we have just a ton of really great used machines. And we had a few of the higher level handy quilters that people traded in on the Q series. So we had to sell a Fusion. No, it was a Infinity, which is like the higher end, like the 26-inch handy quilter with the Pro Stitcher, which is their version of it. And we had to sit and look at that to prove it worked to the customer who bought it. So we needed to like look at it a little bit because we forgot. And honestly, it did all the things, but it was kind of like I didn't
to maneuver, like to.
It just wasn't intuitive.
Yeah,
I feel like. But anyways, yeah.
So, Bernina has the best warranties in the industry on their products, hands down. And they stock the parts, replacement parts for the longest of
20 years
of any brand on the market. So they're just an overall.
You should buy one.
Yeah, they're great.
All right, what else?
You have a request for a session with tips on quilting wool applique.
Ah, yeah.
So noted.
Yep. Maybe we can do that. We can show that.
And do you have a video on how to do a basic clean and oil your machine?
Which machine are we talking about?
The
long arm
sewing machine.
Every one of your Berninas has a video loaded into the sew head itself as to how to clean and oil it from the factory.
Okay, Jake. Thanks for the information.
All right.
They do.
Yeah. Well, now we all know that. We're all slightly freaked out. That's awesome.
Well,
so you have one for free already.
Good to know.
Barb did one on the 990?
Did she?
She did one of those.
Yeah. Yeah, we can do one.
Okay.
One more HD version.
Yeah.
No, I mean, the servicing of your Q series is very easy. You just make sure that bobbin area is cleaned out and that hook is oiled. And you open up the front cover and make sure there's no big balls of fuzz anywhere. And yeah, I mean, they're very, I think the first service interval is 30 million stitches. So unless you hit something or whatever, like you don't need to see me for a while. Just keep them cleaned and oiled.
What else?
That's all we got.
That's
Unless
it?
You got one? No, nothing.
You don't have anything more? Do we have winners?
We got winners. So, number 1, Michelle Frothingham. Congratulations. You are today's winner. Sue Swanstrom. Congratulations. You are today's winner. Last but not least, Julie Drumgool. Is that how I pronounce that?
Drumgool.
Congratulations. You are today's winner. Contact Heidi at
When you said that, like the way you were saying that, it reminded me, what was that talk show of the guy who'd be like, you are not
the father.
That's yeah.
You are the father. What show is that?
No, there's a political commercial out there, and all they say is, and you are not a doctor.
Anyways, thank you all for tuning in. We appreciate it. Congratulations to all the winners. And hopefully Bernina Barb will be back from vacation for next week.
Yep.
But what do we got? We got to sign off.
Always remember to clean and oil your Bernina. And if you forget, your machine shows you a video.
Thank you.